Boom. Boom. Everybody was 3D sculpting. Bada bada bum 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 bum. With ZBrush and with something. I can think of a rhyme that fits right there. Yes. And now we're going live. Yay. And let's see what. Oh yeah. Okay. We have peoples. Hey TJ. Everybody was 3D sculpting. Yeah. Hey, Shinju. Here we go. Yeah. Baby girl. Baby girl. Okay. So we're back. Yes, 2 shows in a day, and I know I'm a couple hours late on this one. It's Veterans Day, and being a veteran, my friends took me out to Red Robin for a burger. Go figure, huh? And I'm being stared at by her and him. How about a surprise? Yet another kitty. Carlton. Okay, get on down. Absolutely no car-related issues for me, but there's one for the car. Apparently, the front of the rear wheel well was dented just enough that when I hit a bump, the tire scrapes against it. And it makes a sound that kind of sounds like a robot dog barking. Bleh. So, we are going to be doing, what's next is a monk. I think they said it was Dragon Path was the term, meaning that he's starting to get scales. He's really good at weighing things. Anyway, so, let me double check. Ba-dum. Okay, so TJ, you're the one that's actually our customer of the day. So, let's go ahead and get ready to start kicking it. First thing we're doing is we're bringing in our everybody's favorite little buddy, the bass Chio. Now the thing is, he's not going to have any extras added on because he's going to be bare knuckle fighting. The next question, however, is, do you have a preferred pose or fighting technique or anything like that that you want to see him in? For example, in the middle of a dragon stance, rising up, punch, throwing a kick, just in a cat stance. And if you know the martial arts term for the pose you want, that'd be even better. Okay, TJ? I love the lag on YouTube, I gotta say. Okay, here's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to find a couple of good poses. Alright. The problem is, the way they train, almost any kung fu stance could be held for a long time. Even the ones that appear to be the most awkward. What I can do is I can pull up some wushu stances, and you say which one you like. The view image, save image as wushu. Okay. Now, add source, media file, and that's going to be, where is, there it is, wushu. Now, I don't know if you can read the names. Do any of those look dynamic enough for For example, I would not recommend Zhoupan, which is the second one from the left on this row. Okay, so you don't like fancy stances, so no dooley boo. Chabu might be good, although we could, just raise him up a bit. Banabu. Okay. Gelongbu. Okay, the only problem with Banmabu is that the feet are so far apart they'll be off the base. Gelongbu, that one is actually kneeling, which means the foot would distort badly. We can do a variant of Banmabu where his feet aren't quite so far apart. Or a variant of Gelongbu where his legs are more like they are in Chabu. Again, not quite so far apart. Let's do the Banmabu. We're going to start by loading in a base. Do you know what base you want? Which one of these? Like, I can guess you don't want the tech panels or the diamond plate. Okay. Sounds good to me. Okay, we're going to load that in just so that we can make sure our feet don't go beyond the edge of the base. Import. Bases. Base Rocky. And we're going to spin it first. And then we're going to go to the front view and lower it until the feet are, yeah, that should be good. Now we'll go back to our perspective view. As you can see, just a regular stance, the feet are almost, well, actually this would be, easy translate there. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the feet, I'm going to pin them. I'm going to take the hip, I'm going to rotate it ever so slightly back and bring it down. I'm also going to give it a little bit of rotation to one side just because you don't want the hips to be perfectly parallel, even in a stance like this. Now let's go back to that page where there it is. No, that's not what I want to do. Opening a new tab. There we go. That's what I do. And he's kind of leaning to the right and slightly rotated. We're going to bend it forward, twist it ever so slightly, and side to side that way. Bend it backwards, rotate it, and side to side back the other way, but not a lot. We want to make sure there's a difference. The rest of it will be through collarbone motion. For example, this will be bent down and twist back. And now, one thing I've got to do real quick, content library poses, left fist, and then we're going to take the left hand through there, go to parameters, all, and then I'm going to click here, symmetry, left to right. Now we're going to bend the right hand just a little bit and then bring it back. Oh, that didn't work. Bring it back this way. Twist. Bend it a little bit more. Bend the forearm a little bit more. Actually, forward there. Actually, no, that's too much of a twist on the collar. And then unbend there and twist the upper arm. Go back, glance at that again. Okay. Forward. Bend up. Twist. Bend up. Twist. Okay. Now we're going to side to side the head, or the neck rather, and twist. Side to side the head. This is how it would pretty much come out. What I can do now is I can then make a variant of it. The purpose of the variant is to make it look a little bit more dynamic. For example, a bit more to one side, because you want to have a dynamic look even if you're not. Let's drop some of the side to side. Now, bring that up more and unbend the wrist a bit. Okay, it's technically based on the same pose, but it's been modified. That's too far to the side. Tilt it. There. Okay, so how's this? Well, let me do that just to get rid of the okay. And if we look, the feet are down far enough to be in the rock, but not so far down that they look like they're phasing into the rock. So now I'm going to hide the rock base and file, export. Do we have a name for him yet? You do not. So we're just going to call him Dragon Monk. Dragon Monk body. Accept. Hide the Dragon Monk body and make him visible. Make this visible. File. Export. Dragon Monk base. Okay. And now we kick it into ZBrush. And we're going to import the Dragon Monk body. Draw him into position. And then we're going to append the Dragon Monk base. Okay. So now we'll go hide that. Now the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to close the mouth. Because like this mouth like that, it kind of looks a little goofy. So we're move topological, there we go. And I need this to be smaller than the mouth. Next thing we're going to do is, if we're going to make this kind of Bruce Lee-esque, we now need to make the face. We need to make some changes in the face. We're going to use the standard brush to do this, so we go to stroke, bring that over, and turn off lazy mouse, and then drop the intensity quite a bit, and go to Z subtract. And what we're going to do first, we're going to use that to, oh, way too strong still, to kind of build up, sink the cheeks a little bit, so as to build up those cheekbones. We're going to go back in and actually add to the cheekbones here in a minute. Go back to add and change the intensity to 6. I'm going to bring out right here. We're then going to move. We'll go back to move topological. And we're going to move the corners of the jaw in just a little, down here in just a little bit. And the corners of the jaw in just a little bit. He was a bit of a slender-faced man, comparatively. We're also going to raise this eyebrow, or the corner of it, And lower the center of it and raise the corner. So the face is a bit more. Yeah, that'll do. Now, we need to go ahead and we'll frame him, and we're going to hide the subtool and open geometry. We're going to subdivide it till he's smooth, and with a Dynamesh of 768 and a blur of 0. Ka-ding. Oh, no. There's one thing we need to do before that. His butt. Now his butt will end up being covered by the pants, but that's the whole point. We need this to be almost completely sealed. Inflate. There we go. And we're just going to sit here and seal the butt. And also add a little bit onto the side of the... There we go. Now we're going to Dynamesh it. Oh no, subdivide it. And Dynamesh it. Oh, not that. 768. And a blur of 0. And now we're going to shrink the mouse and smooth that out. We're also going to smooth out some areas over here because those are areas that don't really equate to actual biology, and I was a bad boy when I made them. Yeah. Now, coming down from here, there's a muscle. Bring that muscle in and smooth it out again. And from here, we're coming down. Okay. And now we're going to smooth out that area. Now, we're going to hide the hand and arm over here. Control Shift click. Then we get the hand, then we hide it, then we hide the thumb parts, and then the fingers, and then the upper arm, and the lower arm. The reason we're doing this is we need to make the waistcloth. We're going to give him a slightly broader, sash area than the reference that we're using. And this will help divide between the bare chest and the baggy pants. Subtool, extract, accept. Let me draw in there, select him, draw in there, go back to the cummerbund, go to geometry, Dynamesh 128. Now, we're going to smooth this a bit. Not a lot, but enough to make it less distorted. And there. Then we're going to subdivide it. That'll do. And going back to the main tool, we can now make the hand and that visible. Next is the angles of the bottom of the pants. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to do it pretty much the way we do almost any other clothing. We're going to select the area that's going to be the, well, I guess you could call them cuffs. And they're also going to be extracted. Except the geometry. Dynamesh. And we're gonna, okay, I'm gonna divide it a couple times, and now we're going to make the pants the old-fashioned way by just sculpting them on. Let's hide these again. They're kind of in the way, but we don't need the upper arm. Okay. Now, no, not that. And we've got inflate on. We're going to make it a little bit lower intensity but a larger draw size. And we're going to start just inflating, especially underneath, because they're going to sag in that direction. And then coming up, and down, and then okay. Now what's going to happen is we need to give a little bit more thickness on the inside here to match what we've got on the other leg. Symmetry is always a good thing. Bring that down a little. Okay. And then we're going to untransparent, and we're going to use the move tool. Or move topological. We're going to move this up just enough so that it's tucking into the cuff there. I'm also going to bring this side in a bit. And then smooth over it. Alright. Frame in the center to center them again. Now, before I get into working on the wrinkles, I need to go ahead and give him his hair. Do you want the Bruce Lee hairstyle? Yes, there is a way. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Hey, Kim. The question is, what direction do you want? Do you want it to look like he's getting ready to uppercut, or that he's just sitting there with a fist full of energy? Fist of energy. Okay. Now, I need to come in here and smooth out these areas, because these are areas that are going to be pushed on for musculature. And I want to make sure I can sculpt the proper musculature in those areas. Now, do you want the Bruce Lee hair? Or do you want him bald? The Bruce Lee hair. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to slick the head. Zoom in. And now we're going to hide this arm and hand, which is better than arm and hammer. And once again, we're going to draw on his a rough example of his hairline. Now his hairline is going to start up high, but it's going to have some bangs pulled down into it. Alrighty, and then we're gonna fill it in. This is one where the base is simple enough that we can start adding details and get outrageous with some of the details. For example, we could add in scars on the chest. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and clean off a bit of these sideburns. He was from this mostly from the 60s, not the 70s. He never really grew sideburns. We're going to extract at 0.03 because he was pretty bushy haired. Except draw, and Dynamax at 256. And from here, we're going to smooth these areas to round off where they are. And then we're going to use the move to move these parts in a bit. Now, we're going to use the move topological tool to draw in the bangs by just grabbing and dragging down. Oh. We're going to smooth up here a bit. We're going to inflate. Now we're going to go back to move, make it bigger. And kind of pull it down a bit in the back because it was a little longer than what I showed you. We're also going to go ahead we're going to need to inflate most of this because he did have a rather, like I said, rather bushy hair. And now we're going to subdivide it a couple times. And we break open our slash tool. And once again, turn off lazy mouse, bring that slash down to about a 14. A 15 will do. Make it a little bit bigger. And we're going to just kind of draw in the divisions between these locks. Now another thing to remember is he did have it parted, so the biggest division here is actually going to come from here. And then we're going to shrink it a little. And just start drawing in a bit of a curliness. And we're going to make this into our basic hair shapes. And I have to confess, I'm experimenting here with ways to make hair look wavy. Okay, now we're going to go to add. We're going to drop the intensity to about 11. And we're once again going to follow the top. Actually, let's go ahead. I had another idea. We're going back to move topological. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of these just kind of come out a bit. Just a bit, not a lot. And we're going to smooth it out. And then this one's going to come up just a little. Just enough to kind of make it look a little shaggy. And then we're going back to our slash and make the mouse a little bit bigger because we want to make sure that we're making all of these look as hair-like as possible. Okay, we need to drop the intensity because it's, yeah. And now that we're increasing, adding volume with this slash, it's looking a lot more like what he looked like. That poofy, slashy hair. And now we're just drawing on those waves. And coming around like that, and then back like that, and down. And in general, you can see how it's starting to look like the kind of messy hair that he had in a lot of his movies. And then we're going to draw down here to this point and come straight back out again to that point. We're trying to, in this, we're trying to emphasize the point of the part there. Now, frame out. And there we have some pretty shaggy looking hair. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is, now that we have him selected, we're going to Dynamesh it again. This time for the purposes of solving some of the problems that we've got back here on the elbow and so on. So I'm going to take the inflate tool, gently inflate that. We can smooth it out here after we're done. And let's see, is there another issue on the leg? There's not one on the legs that I can find, nor one on the rest of the upper body. Okay, good. So we're going to go ahead and Dynamesh. Undo that, and we're going to come over to the arm, and we're going to smooth that out. Now, Bruce Lee was never a bodybuilder. Well, technically he was, but he was never an Arnold bodybuilder. What he had instead was he was cut as all get out. He was seriously cut. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to first draw the outlines of all the appropriate muscles with the slash tool. Note that I say just the outlines, but we're going to be coming in and handling it, the rest of it, with another tool. It includes giving a little bit of a divisor here. Okay. Now let me go ahead and feel my back. Okay, it's going to come in like that. And then we're going to come over here and draw on that. And here. And once again, we're going to draw that line here. And a little bit of smoothing on this. A line here. And then under the pectoral. Okay, we're going to come around like that. And then like that. Okay. Now we're going to come in and with a larger brush We're going to kind of dig in here. Just so that we can, actually no, we can kind of dig in around here. And here we're going to come around from here and dig into there. Now we're going to come from here and bring this down to frame the abs. And one thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the abs are not symmetrical. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to draw in the serratus muscles. And here. Whoop. Now, it's looking a little bit exaggerated right now. That's because we need to come in here with the inflate tool and make it a good bit bigger. And we're going to give some further shaping to these cuts by inflating them where they need to be. And here. Whoop, that's too much. So. Now again, we're doing it, it's quite a bit exaggerated, because when all is said and done, we're going to end up hitting it with a smooth brush. Let's go ahead and give him, oh, way too fast. Let's drop that intensity a little. I'm going to go ahead and give him these muscles. And then inflate. So now we're going to go ahead and now make this bigger and very gently smooth out the whole thing. To represent fatty tissues and other aspects. I have no idea how I accidentally turned a ground plane. Oh, there it is. Turn that off. Then we're going to once again use the smooth tool to kind of limit some of this. including that elbow. And then we're gonna go back in and yeah, we're gonna use the move tool on this because that's just too. And then we're going to go back in with slash because there's some areas here that we need to represent skin touching as opposed to a neuromuscular fold. Or reduction of that, and there, and here. Now, with the slash, we're going to draw on where the collarbones would be. And where the neck muscles are and the throat. And there we go. He's looking pretty Bruce Lee Bruce Lee buff. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and take care of the hands while we're right here before we get to adding any wrinkles anywhere. So the first thing we got to do, we got to shrink this mouse down, and we're going to inflate the insides of the fingers. To seal the fist shut. For printing purposes. We do something similar back on this side. There we go. Now we're going to hide the thigh and the lower leg and the foot. Number one, we gotta smooth that a little. Number two, we now can draw on our knuckles. And smooth out the bottom ends of these so that they fade into nothing. And a little bit of, actually the knuckle would be back further. Let's go ahead and blend them. And it's going to be a knuckle here and a knuckle here. And we need to inflate the inside of the thumb right there. And I have a fur ball that's come back. Shinju. Okay, Shinju. Come on. Come on, baby girl. You know better. Get over here. Get over here. Good girl. Yes. Good girl. And need to increase in here. Alright. Gonna just to kind of seal it with the hand. And then we're gonna blend, 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 blend. And then we're gonna just kind of smooth over there. Frame out. Now I'm gonna smooth over that. Make sure it sticks out. Alright, now this other hand, it has issues that we got to deal with before we're going to go ahead and completely fix the hand before we get around to making it covered in energy. Okay. Because we got to have a base to start from. Okay, and swell on the inside of this. And on the inside here. Okay, now Knuckles 1, and he's not an echidna. And if any of y'all remember Knuckles the echidna, I'm so sorry. Blend, 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 and then blend, blend, blend. We're going to take the slash tool and go ahead and draw it, make sure to dig out the trench between the fingers, because some areas, like right there, that trench kind of vanished. Okay, now we need to smooth that out because you don't have a wart. Now frame. Okay. Hour in, and on most figures we'd be nearly done, but we still have to do things like the energy on the fist. We also need to use the move tool. I'm going to grab down here and pull up this way. Because, yeah, I'm going to drag this down a little. That. Okay. Now, before we go any further, I'm gonna get some soda. Yeah, I don't know which one of the more recent Sonics it was, but it made a list of top top jokes that slip past the censors in cartoons. It had whatever the name of the bad guy was say, "Yeah, I would have been here sooner, but I was polishing my mongoose." Say what? He was what? Yeah. Alright, so how we're going to handle this is we're going to duplicate the body. But then we're going to use the trim rectangle. Nope, wrong way. We're going to pull up, basically select everything and make on this clone. Okay, we're going to now select that. We are going to split unmasked, select this and delete it. Now, this hand is going to get inflated, then then dynameshed. Then we're going to dynamesh it at 200 or 256. Bing. Then we're going to polish it. And then hit it all over with a smooth brush, because we want this to be just a vague shape. Then we're going to deflate it until it kind of fits mostly inside the hand. Okay, now we can start doing weird things with it. Now, did y'all catch what I did? If you didn't, I can explain it. Okay, now Okay. But yeah, there's some pretty bad things that slip past the sensor sometimes, and wouldn't you know it, most of them come from Animaniacs. I found prints! No, fingerprints. I don't think so. And the worst part about it was Prince looked rather eager. And I'm going to inflate to thicken some of these little bits and doodads. And just to see how this looks. I'm basically using the slash tool to give it some sharp edges and to help give it form. Well, you know that the theme song changed every few episodes. For example, there was Bill Clinton plays the sax only in like half a season. We have pay-for-pay contracts. We're Animaniacs. There's Pinky and the Brain who want to rule the universe. Button says Mindy, but Slappy slapped up with her purse. Why Rita sings a verse? Our writer's slipped. We have no script. Why bother to rehearse? So does that look like the kind of energy thingy that you want from his hand? Or is that too big? I think that's too big. Because it's not looking like a fist anymore. So let's go back to deformation and we're going to scale it down. And then we're going to use move with a colossal brush and then 0 focal shift, and we're going to move it back into place. And we're going to move it over this way. There we go. You got more of a fist visible there. Now we're going to shrink the brush down and drop the focal size to 0 again. I'm going to pull this down into the forearm a little. And then we're going to inflate it. And it still needs to be moved, so let's move it instead of scaling it this time. And just move portions of it deeper into the hand. Then we're going to shrink the mouse, and we're just going to go over at each of the points. We're going to give it a little bit of a smoothing, because that'll shrink the point and make it more pointy. Because then you'd lose the point. Get my point? Okay, frame out. How's that now? Actually, let's bring this in. Bring it in a little bit there. Adequately fisty. That sounds so wrong. I hope you realize, TJ. Now we're going to hide the other arm. So that we can start wrinkling the waistband. And shrink this down. Bring that intensity back up to about 11. Shrink it down a little bit more. And what we're going to do is we're going to first put on a major wrinkle coming from here down to there. And we're going to follow it along up here and down here. And then we're going to shrink the mouse again. We're going to start drawing on other wrinkles. No, that's not. A little bit higher intensity. Okay. Now zoom out, and once again we're going to start from over here and bring it into here and over here. There. And we're going to grab here and bring it over to there. And here and bring it over to there. Then we're going to get slashes. We're going to get slashy. Yeah! Now we need to make it bigger. And let's just draw on down here. I bet none of you can sing the country song. Countries of the World. Without having the thing in front of you, that is. I'm pretty sure you all could sing it if you had the lyrics in front of you. The list. Jamaica, Peru. Okay, and now we're going to do the legs. Okay. Now, because it's so poofy, we're going to start it off with just regular sharp wrinkles. Because we're going to come in... Oh, no, we need it to be a little bit stronger. And now it's stuck in my head. Yay! The pinky and the brain, pinky and the brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. Now see, here's what I believe. Pinky and the brain. One's a genius, the other's insane. Well, with the order that they give us, that implies that Pinky is the genius, and the brain is insane. You know? Think about it. Which means Pinky is humoring the brain, and doing so while pretending to be a moron. Well, to be not that bright. Okay, let's go ahead and subtract between these layers just to go ahead and further define them. There was an episode where Brain was depressed because they kept failing in their struggles to take over the world. And Pinky didn't like that, because he was his best friend. So, he went to all the world leaders and convinced them all to let him turn over the world to be ruled by his good friend Brain, who's just such a nice guy. And of course, Brain, being depressed, didn't want to hear anything from Pinky. And so he threw away his best chance for ever becoming ruler of the world, because he was in a funk. Poor Brain. So yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. So, has anyone else here ever almost ruled the world? In real life or in a game. Though it's probably more likely that it happened in a game. That's looking pretty good. Excuse me. And now we do the other leg. Oh, that's no fun. You're already the ruler of the world with your DM. Well, there was one time that in a superhero game, I nearly rewrote the religious history of the Western world with Doctor Doom's time machine, a collapsible dagger, and a bottle of fake blood. No, I think I revised my plan to include a bottle of pig's blood instead. Yeah. And I was forever forbidden in that particular gaming group from ever doing anything time travel related ever again. And I'm not going to say what happened, but let's just say that Copernicus and Galileo never had any problems. On the other hand, there were others that did. Okay. Frame, zoom out. And we have one last thing to do on this guy. And it's going to be mostly on his back and the back of his neck. Can you guess what that's going to be? Catastrophic mistakes. The party that I run on Saturdays made possibly one of the worst catastrophic mistakes I've ever heard of. Due to their ineptitude, they somehow managed to help a rather pathetic goofball of an evil warlock to ascend to the status of demon prince. No, that's too even. These get small and yeah. And also, while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and auto mask back faces. And then make it a bit more erratic, a bit more natural looking. Yeah, there we go. It's a bit more natural. Okay, where are his scales besides the back of his neck there? Would they be like on his upper arm, his forearm, all the way down his back? Okay, forearms. Well, he only has 2 arms, so... And we're gonna go and start there and just make it, yeah. I am, in one particular gaming group, I am forever forbidden from ever again playing a trickster priest. Any character I make in Shadowrun cannot be able to soak a Panther Assault Cannon hit without armor ever again. And no character in a Star Trek or other sci-fi game can come near the programming controls for the sonic showers. Not after the Mr. Clean incident. And the thing is, my trickster priest really wasn't that much of a troublemaker. The rest of the murder hobos in my party were. My trickster priest simply overthrew a couple cities because he felt that their justice systems were unfair. There we go. There we go. I can see one thing I do need to do though. I need to go to inflate, make the mouse a little bit bigger, and I need to inflate about here. A little bit here. I need to make the back of the... Okay. Okay. Let's put that up there. Okay. So, are we good here with Mr. Dragon? Enter the Dragon? You're right, it is. I'm going to have to watch the video as soon as I get done with everything tonight. I'm going to watch the revised version. Alrighty then. What we do now is we go ahead and merge down all of the parts. Alright. Now for those who have watched this, is there anything that you would like to ask me about how I did this before I go ahead and completely and utterly resolve the whole scenario? Okay. That's probably the best angle. It is 9:32. Writing file to disk, and it is now 99,930 polygons. And we are simply going to save it as export Dragon Monk. And you, boom, I'm back here. That was the final sculpt for today. Dragon Monk. And go ahead and hit refresh to get rid of any potential lag. Thank you, Kim. Both of today's sculpts were pretty short. They were an hour and a half each. Because clothing-wise, they were relatively simple, and they didn't have repeating textures like armor scale type scales or chainmail. So this is so, Mark. This is so. Okay, so don't forget to DM me your email address so that I can send you the final file and render of your Dragon Monk. Alright? Alright, you are welcome. Well, I am going to go ahead and start logging off. This is not for, you know, sign language teaching or puppeteering, because of course everyone can do, you know, throw their voice. It's easy. Yeah. No, this is for my countdown to leave. Thank you. Alright, so that's going to be a 5. That's gonna be a 4. And that's gonna be a 3. That's gonna be a 2. And of course, this is definitely a 1. I will see y'all next week. Or Tuesday. Good night.